Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this opening masterclass for Chamber Music Northwest. The first of 4 masterclasses that we're going to have this summer all for different instruments. The next 3 will be clarinet, flute, and guitar. And we're going to have a nice intimate class. It's wonderful. It seems like all the students know each other, past histories, and it's really incredible to see the talent that is here in and around Portland. So thank you. Thank you all of you parents. So our first violinist is going to be Nate Strothkamp, and Nate just finished his junior year of high school. Nate, you want to come out? And Nate, you're going to play the first movement of Mozart D major concerto, right?
Yes.
D major number 4, not D major number 2. Okay. That's it's the black spot, yeah. Oh, you don't need your music?
No, not at all.
Just keep it over.
All right.
And Nate has his own cadenza.
Yes.
He wrote his own cadenza for this. cadenza is really, really, really one of the best I've ever heard. This is so inventive. Are you a composer?
No, I don't have any background. I just, you know.
And have you written cadenzas before, or is this is the first?
I mean, I made a couple drafts of this one, but yeah.
But for other pieces, you have,
No. Yeah.
wow, you have a really great talent for it. I mean, it's just going to get. It's hard at first, right?
Yeah.
But it's so great that you started this process now, and it's only going to get easier.
Yeah.
And you know, what was immediately great, within the first 10 seconds of Nate's cadenza was that he started modulating into different keys, and that, for sure, Mozart would have loved.
Yeah.
And when you see, I don't know if you have you seen or heard any of Mozart's cadenzas, his own for the piano concertos, and that's exactly what it's just shocking modulations and little turns. It should be surprising, and he was surprising me at every turn. You know what was really interesting was that you really played out in your cadenza. It was like you were so confident of, and I don't mean just confident in what notes you're going to play, but just in your spirit. And you should treat the whole concerto like that. You know, you don't have to treat Mozart with kid gloves, okay? And I think you had such a great Mozart spirit in your cadenza, so just pretend you wrote the whole thing, and play it like that. No guilt, okay? So these are, as Nate was playing, I had only a few COVID era thoughts that occurred, which is, this is the first time I've met Nate, but we've had a whole bunch of lessons on Zoom. so it's the first time I'm in the same room as you. And the other issue with Zoom lessons is often we don't see the students' feet. We only see their upper body, and so it's my first chance to address your lower body as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, play again from the beginning a little bit, and each composer, or let's say most composers, and I've heard this from multiple composers, living composers. Putting their music into perspective, and also how they see so many other composers' music. They'll say that the way they imagine music, it comes from some kind of bass sound. I don't mean B-A-S-S, but B-A-S-E. Some kind of fundamental sound that comes either most naturally or deepest to them. And we might have talked about this with Tchaikovsky, right? When you played Tchaikovsky, and we were talking about ballet, how Tchaikovsky's heart lay with the ballet. With Mozart, it's the opera. And of course, there are more instrumental works. Although these violin concertos, it really feels like at times we're the diva, right? At other times we're many different singers. But it's definitely, there's so much interaction happening. A Mozart opera is not moving at a slow pace, okay? It's constant discovery, teasing, interplay, and so let's try to find those characters, characterize it. You are so sensitive. It's wonderful. You play so beautifully, but it's not always clear whether you are saying something sensitive that is very excited, or saying something very sensitively in a shy way, or even, let's say, very black and white in a sadder or happier way. Okay, so start again from the beginning and see if you can show that to us. I don't believe necessarily that we need to make faces to the audience. I think we can certainly show all of that character in our sound alone. But now, as an exercise, pretend you're speaking to our audience, and if you're speaking, you're not going to speak to them in this very deadpan, with this very deadpan voice. I mean, deadpan face, right? And say to them, "I'm so excited to march." Right. So, see if you can really show them with your face. I actually, as an exercise at home, I remember the first time Mr. Weilerstein, one of my teachers in college, asked me to do this. He asked me to do it without playing, which was really, it makes you talk about making you self-conscious. But do it while playing. Okay? And how about this? Look at them. See, that's a better face, right? Okay, good. It was already better, but when we were talking, right? Like, now you're laughing, now you're smiling. Just keep that same face. Okay. Okay, good. That's better. It's hard to actually smile and not project a little bit more in your sound, that joy. I know it feels less comfortable, right? Just now, you have a little less control. But imagine if you're playing like that all the time, every day, you'll figure it out. You'll figure out how to manage that. And here's another way of maybe also thinking very black and white, is your expression open or is it a little bit closed? And most emotions are one, or they live on the spectrum, but leaning to one side or the other. There are some, actually Mozart, I would say some Mozart slow movements, especially in minor keys. Sometimes Schubert flips back and forth between major, minor, where there's something reflective and maybe without commitment to plus or minus, positive or negative. But that's rare. It's really rare. And there's no question about this right here, right? So, okay, one more time. And now if you are projecting joy to them, if you are talking to them, then you're probably going to stand up a little bit straighter, right? Right. And probably, and this is partly for your emotion of being open instead of being like this, but, and also just for support as a violinist, okay? It's really hard to play, right? So we need to be as balanced as possible, right? To give ourselves the best chance at playing and at relaxing. This is actually quite a bit of motion when we're doing this. It's throwing our balance off, our center of balance. And let's imagine you're standing on one foot. I mean, this is going to feel horrible, right? If you have a very narrow base, you're also not going to feel good, right? You're going to start to constrict your motions. So what we want to find is the best base for your balance. At a certain point, we become stuck. We don't have freedom. So generally, that's going to be about shoulder width, although you have pretty broad shoulders, so you don't want to go too far, but yes, right. It's amazing the difference between this and this, okay? So one more time, nice and open and smile. very different. Just curious now, because just now a lot of things came together. That's not normal. We don't expect we don't expect it to improve that much that quickly. So this is great. But for you, was there one element that of what we were talking about that made the biggest difference just now?
Probably the open expression, yeah.
The open expression, okay, great. And did this also feel better?
I think so. I mean, it helped me open up and also be more balanced.
That's great.
Yeah.
And did you feel like you had more security actually with, yeah. That's great. When you have more freedom of motion, okay? So that's this also, it's good to check every once in a while. Can I, not by lifting your feet and walking around, but can I sway? Can you sway freely? Yeah, play a little bit of, okay, pretend you are a tree and there's a breeze going, and so you're not stuck, you're not this heavy, thick, kind of, they are wooden, but not a wooden person, and very lithe, okay, so that but your bass stays the same. Okay, let's see. Now, if you really are balanced, then you're going to actually feel like you can go pretty far to one side or the other. If we do this, we can't go very far. If we're if our bass is too spread open, then also it feels like you're just kind of jammed into the ground, right? Yeah. So feel free to, exaggerate it right now. Okay. And if a heel comes up occasionally, that's fine. For now. Yeah, it's just like a feeling secure to do it. It's a really good exercise because then you're sure that you are free. Okay, so just fine, and eventually this will just become your normal balance. Okay. One quick thing, and this is great. I have the benefit of this view, which I don't usually with students. We're over here. From this angle, I can see your bow hair, which is, you can see it from this angle, right? And you can see when the stick is actually touching the hair, or when it's just giving out really easily, too easily. We want leverage into the string, right? It's not really power, but actually what we want is, we want to be able to articulate this string, to speak it, to energize it with the smallest effort. And if this is mushy, if our hair is mushy, then it feels like we have to work, it's soggy, okay? What we want it to speak very quickly, okay? So try tightening your bow. Let me see your bow. It's gonna be a little shocking, but. Don't press harder. What happens is when you tighten the bow will do more of the work for you. Better, right? Yeah, they would say also it's better. It's amazing just how much easier it is. Okay, so that's not even close to straight. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. The other thing is rosin. Actually, let me just rosin your bow while you're. I even brought. I remembered my toothbrush. Here's a little trick. So, do you rosin your bow every day?
Not every day.
Oh, I see. And you don't like to rosin it because what? When you have too much rosin.
Yeah.
What does it feel like?
Crunchy and yeah.
Okay, you don't like the crunch, right?
Ah.
And well, crunch comes from a couple of things. I mean, one is when we put on more rosin, or when you don't have so much rosin on, enough rosin, then you get used to that. You're also working, okay? And then what happens is you put more rosin on, and you still try to press into the string, and then it crunches.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it gets clumpy. Okay, try the very opening. Did you just loosen your bow?
No, I almost did. But
It was your instinct.
Yeah.
It was really good. I mean, there aren't that many more things I can show you without practicing, but this is one of them. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And I would, I mean, for everybody, I know that I used to have my bow loose and not rosin it because I felt like, oh, I'm never going to scratch now. But the problem is the flip side. It's so much harder to get clarity, and you'll sort out you'll figure out all those places that you were squeezing. But now this is all freer instantly already. So, and I would say in Mozart on the violin, there's hardly a composer more than in Mozart where we want this very quick articulation, because there's so much variety, and I mean, which you are getting. I loosened my bow, and it's not as good. You're trying to color every single note differently, right? We can't do that if we are trying to control all of that with our arm, we're just not quick enough. So we need to let the bow do much more of the work. We are running out of time. There's just a couple more minutes. We'll keep going on a little bit from here. And let's just work a little bit on the singing aspect, okay? And as singers on the violin, the bow is our air, right? The bow moving. And we keep it moving, that's like a singer's air that keeps moving. And when you stop moving and when you stop having air, then there's no sound anymore, or it starts to choke. Okay, so even as you are releasing sound, for instance, here, lighten up is fine, but keep the bow moving. Good, that's better. The last thing, let's try to add articulation to this, and many articulations. So if we're speaking, if we're singing, we have the words, and they all have different consonants. Every once in a while a vowel, but not that often. That might be within a slur that we'll get an like that. So to articulate on the violin, we need to go down. There needs to be a vertical aspect to it. Otherwise it's almost like we're in a lake and we're just staying at the same depth. We're swimming in a straight line. Okay, maybe think about this as it's more like rowing a boat. Okay, and your oar is going to go to different depths depending on the depth of the kind of articulation that you want. There might be even times where you slap the surface of the water, maybe for a ta. Okay, but for me, and you don't have to do this, but for me, it's deeper, and then it's lighter and lighter, but with more energy. Okay, it doesn't mean lighter and more pale. Okay, do it slowly like this so you can have a chance to explore. I would rather hear crunch than ah. Okay. Okay, and let's get that articulation, let's try, with our thumb. And pretend this is your tongue. And the place where the thumb is touching the stick is like the roof of your mouth or the back of your teeth. Okay, and so how that thumb kind of activates against the stick is going to be your articulation. So, and it's really very analogous to if it's a la, then it's like this. If it's a ta, it's very immediate but light. If it's ka, it's quite deep but fast. Okay, so rather than digging in with your arm. Okay, try it one last time, still under tempo. Okay, good. You're starting to get it?
Yeah.
Starting to feel it? I mean, it needs to be really, you need to kind of manage it and learn how to rein it in, right? But you know what you can do is you can take, as an exercise, just take a single note and give it all kinds of different consonants. Okay, it's really hard in Mozart to be, it's so different all the time. But I think you're going to end up having a lot more variety, and will relieve that urge or the need to feel like you're putting the bow into the string. This is putting the bow into the string. When we do this, the middle of the stick goes straight into the bow. Okay, a lot actually. But in a very sensitive way. Okay. This is the rest of our arm is much less sensitive. Okay, Nate, sorry we have to stop.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, she's a cadenza. Wow, beautiful handwriting. Okay, great. Next is Nicholas ready? This is Nicholas Dill. Do you need the music? Okay. Just put it over here. And Nicholas just finished his first year of college. He's going to play Paganini 24th Caprice. Sorry, great job, great job. I should have told you. The black spot, the black spot.
I was realizing as I was playing.
No, it's okay. But for our audience at home who's going to watch this, we're going to have you play some of that again because it was so great, so brilliant, and so I don't know how much the microphones picked up the first time. We'll have you play it again, sure. Really wonderful. So what I really love about what Nicholas is doing is he really captures what I'm sure, a huge aspect of Paganini's personality as a performer, and therefore as a composer, would have been his sense of invention, his just his sheer imagination. Also a fearlessness, and Nicholas is uncompromising. No. I mean, I don't know if he has any fear. Do you have any fears?
Yes.
Oh, okay. but all, even better, because it's so great that you're not allowing those fears to get in the way of what you want to do. And I'm sure every instinct, every human instinct kind of screaming inside our head, for non-violinists will never understand what it's like to play Paganini. It's very noisy in here, right? But it's so wonderful. So I'm sure you'll just keep doing that in all the Paganini that you do. Just one quick thing that we did with Nate. Try tightening your bow just a little bit, and because this also we want a lot of. We don't want to have to work. It's a lot of quick response. Even in the articulation of, but certainly once you get the, you just want the bow to do it on its own. But let's so play again. Actually, play the theme in the first three variations. Stand on the black one. Yeah. Okay, so there's, though, I talked about the invention, the fearlessness. There is also, I'm certain, another aspect of Paganini's playing, though, that I think you can really, really consider, which is the extreme emotion that and when you read accounts, you probably have accounts of people who went to Paganini's performances. Amazing, right? It kind of gives it gives you chills up your spine when you read how much he moved people. It's almost like a cartoon. You imagine people fainting and swooning and crying and shouting and it's just the affect of what he was doing. So each variation not only has some kind of different effect, but the resultant emotion because of that. So let's say, actually, Nate, we were talking about things that, in terms of character, kind of lie close to the middle of the spectrum. This theme is like that, right? I would say it's incredibly dark. It's very high-spirited, but it's certainly not bright, right? But from there, the variations start to really take on clear characters. And just tell us variation one, and all themes and variations, a really great way of thinking about it is how the variation compares to the theme, not necessarily taking the variation just on its own. So, variation one, what he wrote, compared to the theme.
More playful.
Playful. Okay, can you play that? His music is so brilliantly written for the violin. It's not just that it sounds brilliant, but all the emotion, the sounds and therefore the emotion, he knew, it's kind of like Mozart writing for every instrument. He knew exactly how to bring out, what to write in order to bring out that emotion, right? So one perspective with Paganini is just play it, hear every note come out, and trust that if we hear every note, then the emotion does come out. So you have all the right intentions. We're not quite hearing every note, though. Okay, can you try to bring that? Actually, let's do it as an exercise. Play it maybe quite slow, like and hear each note come out, but with the character that you want. Okay, good. That didn't sound so playful now. Okay, good. That's better. Now I realize there's some technical issues going on here. This is with string crossings. This is this weird, again, non-string players will never understand, never appreciate this, but here we are, we're trying to move our bow this way, and therefore our arm, but we're also moving our arm this way, right? So our brain says move our arm, but when we do this, we stop moving this way as well. So what we have to do is, as you change strings, make sure you're still moving horizontally, that you're using bow. So what if this time actually try also, just stare at your bow and decide on a certain amount of bow, maybe, I don't know, that much on each note, and just make sure you use that much bow on each note, especially the last couple of notes. It's better already, especially the last note, okay, the sixth note of the groups. So a good way of practicing everything, anything in general is, so right now you're not using enough bow, right? Use the most bow on that. So it's not going to sound exactly how you want, but it's a really great physical trick. Okay, good. And this is also a great chance when you're doing it slowly to really figure out where you are in the bow. Okay? When we're doing it slowly, we can do it anywhere, right? But we can't do it anywhere in tempo. So we want to try to figure out where the balance point is, where we don't have to work to make it articulate. Good, that's better. Do it one more time, that last note. Good, and let's use, now this is where we get into how beautifully Paganini wrote. This is also something to remember. Paganini wrote not necessarily the caprices, because he probably, presumably didn't perform all of them in public, but still, his orientation. This was how he made his living. He played this, right? In addition to being just an incredible artist and you know, changing the world with all of this that he invented, he also had to perform in public. And if you were Paganini and you had to make a living playing your own pieces, you're not going to write pieces that you have to practice for 2 years, right? Right? You're going to work with the vocabulary you have, and presumably that means things that come idiomatically on the violin. So let's not confuse difficult or intimidating or very difficult because things are moving so quickly with awkward. Actually, most Paganini is not very awkward if you are playing it kind of in the way he imagined. So what's beautiful about this is we can use that last note to get to the next thing. Okay, good. Right, you're using more bow on that, but it's like you're doing that, but then you're not ready for it. Dude, let's just do that. That's how you want it. You want it to feel like a pickup. Actually, ultimately, you want the entire thing to feel like a pickup. So. Try.
Tempo?
Yeah. Good, okay, good. And now your arm keeps moving, right? That's really good. That's actually also just generally a trick. When we think something is leading somewhere, our arm doesn't hit that wall, okay? Now, this is just a general issue that we are, and this is all performers are dealing with, including us as violinists, especially when we're playing Paganini, is we are, there's what's going on in our head, there's our imagination, and then the next issue is the realization of that imagination, right? And we want, probably, you have this imagination, and unless you're just playing in a room by yourself in a vacuum, you're performing for people, and you want people to perceive what you're doing in a certain way, right? So, not only do we have to have this incredible imagination and just trying to realize it, but we also have to reserve a certain amount of our listening and our brain and our imagination, actually putting it out there, for how it's actually coming out, right? So, so that's something that I think that's also the aspect that you can work on. Try the next and again, that like a moderate tempo like that, and see if you can pretend you are one of our audience members and you're watching yourself play, you're listening to yourself play, and you're hearing yourself, it's kind of bizarre, right? You're hearing yourself play the sounds that you imagine. That's great, that's better. In the Ponticello, I love that effect, by the way. It is very clear, your intention, but I lost all those little notes. It's better. Can you tell, you're the audience member now, can you tell which notes Nicholas is playing that are not coming out as much? In the Ponticello, can you tell?
Not very well from here.
Not so much? Okay. Da 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 da. It's the last 3 notes or so of that. That's right. Nate, you're sitting the furthest, right? Is that Nate over there?
Yeah.
Could you hear that better?
First time, yes. Second time was a little harder to hear.
Oh, this time it was harder to hear.
No, as in, he does it.
Oh, I see. Okay, try it one more time. Okay, now there's one more aspect we always have to consider as performers, which is we're communicating to them over there, and it's the acoustic gets in the way, right? Actually, in here there's a nice resonance to it. Sound doesn't have any problem getting out there, but the echo of my voice is getting in my own way, right? So, and that is true of a lot of resonant halls. The more your sound is ringing, the more great ringing tone you're making, it gets in the way of the next note. So we almost always, we just have to think slower. The more notes, this is ironic about Paganini, the more notes you have, the slower you have to think. And then it's going to sound the way you want. Okay, so play this once more. Imagination, the timing, the sound, all of those things, the same, except just a little slower. Do the ponticello slower. Good. Now try da 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 da. Nate, clear?
Yeah.
Does it sound slow?
No.
It still sounds pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
To think also with Paganini, Bach also, there's so much happening so quickly. It's confusing for us. It's overwhelming, actually. So Paganini in general, I would say, just doesn't need to be so fast. It will feel fast. We want it to feel fast, but in order for it to feel fast, we need to hear everything and hear all the figurations. And I mean, it sounded like my teachers when I was a student, and just trying to burn through everything. And oh, I said, no, it's too fast. It's too fast. And then I'd slow it down, and then they said, wow, that is more exciting. It was, and I didn't believe them at first because it felt like I'm not really working. Also, you're more relaxed. It's a very good kind of sequence of events. So, so work with that. When you find something, this goes the same as kind of exaggerating motions. When you find you're not using enough bow, use more bow. Same thing with speed. If you find you're rushing things, just slow down those notes. Da 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 da, just as a practice tool. And then just with a little time, your normal will be just in time. You were just hurrying them a little bit. Try your pizzicato is amazing. do it, but also just a little too fast, just a bit. But play. The last thing we can do is this. Okay, try to hear every single note out there. It's so great. Let's I'm asking you because you're the furthest. Usually when there's more distance, it's harder to hear. Did that sound slow?
No.
Not at all, right? And it's a strange disconnect with Paganini. I still experience it. I'm still shocked. I don't know. Recently, I was playing the Caprices, and I had my wife listening to the dress rehearsal, and I played number 1, and she said, "It's too fast. I can't hear it." So I played slower. She said, "No, it's still too fast." I thought I wanted it to sound something like. Okay, so on the mic, it probably sounds like how I want. Out there, it just sounded faster. And finally, when I was something like. She said, "Wow, that sounds so clear and so fast." It was weird. But then you actually start to enjoy that feeling of not being so stressed. So, bravo, Nicholas.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, bravo. Okay, next we have Hanami. Hanami Fru, and she's going to play RAVEL Tzigane. So you don't need your music?
Yes, no.
Okay. I'm sorry, by the way, we don't have piano today, but so it's really like a violin junkies masterclass today. But this is nice with Tzigane. It's almost half without piano. So great. Hanami, you said that you just finished your freshman year?
Yes.
Is that right? So you're going to be a sophomore
Yes.
in the fall. Okay. Gutsy tone. One of the hardest, no, actually, I think this is the hardest thing about playing the violin is that, I mean, once you get past the basically learning how to hold it, basically learning how to stand, you know, all the things that are painful in those beginning years, painful for our parents to, in the beginning years to listen to. And once we are actually really trying to say something with our playing, once we are really in touch with the emotion of these pieces, the grandeur, at times there's this sheer emotional range of what we are trying to express with the violin through this tiny little box that really doesn't take much strength to play at all. Okay, when we, you know, to put things into perspective, when we're talking about bows, we think, oh my gosh, the difference between 56 and 58 ounces, this one's so heavy, you know, and, you know, 60, forget it. I mean, ounces we're talking about. We change strings. Oh my God, this set of strings, I have to work so much harder. I mean, it's really just in our head. You know? We have to learn how to express and project energy. We have to, some of the most intense emotions, that human emotions, while not squashing the violin. And that, I think, is I think our biggest challenge. That's why yes, it's an awkward position to play in, but I don't know if you've noticed that music that's very moderate in temperament, do you find it's easier to play, like more relaxed? Mm-hmm. It's just, yeah, it's like kind of like no sweat. I used to be very confused by that, and I thought, why can't I just be always this relaxed? And I mean, but I think this is why. Our body, every single part of our body is responding to the intensity of the music. So I would really recommend trying to separate the two. Try to stay as relaxed as possible all the time with your muscles, but in here and in here to feel all of that intensity, and but to channel it into the violin, not in a forceful way. It's a little bit, as an analogy, you might have a gallon jug, okay, a gallon milk carton, and it has this little hole here. And if we pour buckets of water into it, some of it is going to go in there, but we're wasting most of it, right? And so because only a little bit is going in there, then we have to pour even more water. Really what we want is that funnel and the right speed of pouring the water in, and then it's going to fill much faster. That's really what we're after, okay? So as a general approach, I think try the opening, and think about instead of pushing deep into the string, how about allow the bow to fall deeply through the string? is really the space between the hair and the stick. After that, we're pushing with the stick into the G string. So. Do you rosin your bow every day?
No.
Oh, we found another one. Okay, let's rosin this really quickly. So the looser the hair, the less we rosin in order to create leverage, to create tension. We actually have to squeeze the stick in order to stretch the stick out and therefore stretch the hair out so that we have more. Oh gosh, sorry about this.
No.
Cheap hotel toothbrushes are really great for this. Like the ones that you never want to use on your teeth. Actually, let me see. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Let it fall through. Pretend your bow is 500 pounds. And so all you have to do is drop it through the string. You don't have to push, but it is 500 pounds. Okay, starting to get it. Right at the beginning, you weren't falling through. It was felt kind of like 20 pounds, but then it started to get to 500. It's amazing how much more you were working, right? Before. Yeah, you never want to, if you ever feel like, in order to generate more power, I need to squeeze more, then, yeah, check your hair, check your rosin, and then it's also just convincing yourself that, no, I don't need to do this. One very specific thing going along with this is, you will realize is that wrapping the finger around isn't going to do anything. It's not going to really help. Okay. What we want to do is create leverage into the string. We want the middle of the bow to go straight down into the hair. And wrapping doesn't do anything, right? It just feels really tense. And what we want to do is pronate into the stick. That's right. Almost like I'm going to hold it here and now pronate into, that's right. Just rotate like you're going to turn a doorknob, okay? And the thumb, you were here when Nate was playing. We were talking about the thumb, right? The thumb is going to go up into the stick. So when this goes up, you see this goes down, that's into the string, right? So try that here. Try in the middle of the bow and thumb up and pronate at the same time, and don't allow the bow to do this. Stay on the same plane, and what will happen is the middle is going to go straight into the string. That's right. And without wrapping, this is all a sensation of like how, what am I touching this music stand with? And what we don't want to feel anything here with this top joint of the index finger. If you feel anything, that means we're wrapped around. Okay, it looks like, looks like it's touching, but really they're hanging. Okay? Yeah, they're just draped over here. What we do want is this on top of the stick. That's where we really want the contact, and the thumb underneath, and then they rotate. That's right. Try just the up bow. That's good. Okay, try the phrase. Okay, good. Seems like you feel like you have to wrap your finger more as you come to the tip, right? Because we're losing sound, and I feel like you gotta push. Losing sound, we lose, just about all violinists, we lose sound, not because it's the tip, not because it's lighter or it's further away. I mean, that's part of it, but we just slow our bow down. And that's the fastest way to lose sound, is slow down your bow. Decelerate until you stop and there's no sound. Okay, so how about keep it moving? That's right, that's not losing sound. Okay, try it again. Yeah, now hold it as long as you want to hold it. Play the whole phrase. Step by step, right? You feel freer, and you can still even more. What happens is, in general, it's weird on the violin. We think of our elbow as it relates to the strings, right? But actually, each string is on a completely different plane. So, and we generally think of it like this, right? Flat. Okay. Do you ever think about this? Yeah, kind of E string, but I mean, sometimes it's like this. We usually pretend we're playing the violin like this, right? Not like this. But that's what it's like. You can reproduce it by leaving the bow flat and just rotating the violin, okay? But we're not going to do this when we play. But that's how far over we have to get to the G string. If we're not, right now, everything here is below that plane. And that means we're just pulling down on the string, and that's when it sounds, it feels pressed. Okay, we're constricting the string. So imagine that plane, put your violin up, okay? Imagine there's a plane here, like a board that goes all the way up there. Okay, that's the level. You want to get your arm up there. Get your bow up there. And not with your elbow, but from inside your shoulder and rotate it up. That's right. Okay, get over there. And it really should not be parallel to the ground. It should be pointing down into the ground. That's right. That is the plane, right? And remember to go down to the E string. Now bring your whole arm over together. Okay, we don't want to flip up any part by itself. That's right. I mean, if you think about it, if you're up there, then your upper arm also is definitely not going to go down to the ground, right? At least, probably even pointing up a little bit. That's right. Okay, now do just a down bow, and you're going to go up into the air. That's right. Keep your bow moving now. Right, even more. I want to see your follow through. Up. Better. Not so much better. your bow is still pointing down. Yeah, really, and exaggerate. You see how much more leverage you got. Now don't press. Okay, when we're on top of this string, it's sort of like we're like this. Then we don't have to press as much. That's what I mean by pretend this is 500 pounds and you're just dropping it into the string. That's good. Now the sound is, it's resonance. Right? We're initiating the string to ring in a certain way. The violin is magnifying that. And so how we articulate the string, that is immediately the audience's perception of our sound. And then we manipulate it from there. But let's pretend you're not going to change your sound. You want one sound, okay? Play that B. we need to articulate it the way we want, and then just keep the bow moving after that. We don't have to keep touching the string at every point of the bow the way we would need to start. Okay, if we do that, then we squash the sound. After you articulate it, this is all going to be lighter, okay? And just keep your bow moving, but it has to be immediately deep. That's right. Okay, try ba-dum. Don't slow down your bow. Good. Okay, so these are several elements that you can experiment with. Okay. Now these are just general mechanical things. These are not. You're not going to play. Hopefully, that first note like that. The first and second notes, just flat one sound. You're going to develop the sound. We've only a few minutes left. Tzigane. Well, first of all, I was thinking you started playing. We had Mozart and Paganini and Ravel so far. Three of the greatest writers for violin. This opening cadenza is just one of the greatest things that has ever been written for the violin. How to exploit it. And for a non-violinist, that was what really, I think it might be the greatest thing, the greatest violin writing by a non-violinist. But Tzigane, it's the gypsy, the implications of that, the personality of it, the imagination. Okay, you're being very, very dutiful and attentive to, and that's so wonderful because Ravel is one of the most masterful composers technically. Okay, he knew how to write what he wants, kind of like Mozart. However, what you can do is go past that. You're noticing all the rhythms, but what did he mean by it? What did he mean emotionally with it? Also remembering, put it in the context of Tzigane. Okay, so right at the beginning, it's a 30-second note, right? Ba-dam, and da-da-dum, ba-dam, and then da-dum, ba-da, ya-da-da-dum, ba-dam, 16th note. You're basically doing it, but what is the implication of why 32nd note? What does that do compared to the 16th note?
I think the 32nd note is more like, it makes it more intense and exciting compared to the 16th note. Intense
and exciting and can you describe that intensity and exciting? Go even one step beyond.
Maybe like more intense, and I feel like the 16th note is more like not steady, but it's more like set compared to the 32nd note.
I like that word, set. Okay, so 32nd note, therefore not set. Mm-hmm. Unstable, maybe that would be okay. Not so grounded. Mm-hmm. Not so. It's not something that's dependable. It's not a mountain. Mm-hmm. Okay. Something that's it may be just something, an explosion. Mm-hmm. More shocking, I think. Mm-hmm. Okay. It sounds like it sounds intense and strong. Mm-hmm. But how about wild? Mm-hmm. Okay, try that. Good. How about
So, not going ahead. Okay, make everybody want it and make them wait, and then set it. That's right. That's the idea. Okay, you'll get when you're practicing, you'll get back to the not squeezing. Right now, you're squeezing more and more, but that's the idea. And I don't remember what note. Are these 64th notes? Maybe you've been notated.
I think so.
Yeah, those are really fast. How often do we have 64th notes? Okay. What's the implication of that?
I think it means to be more urgent.
Great. Be more urgent. And stretch these things. That was kind of relaxed. You don't have to play stronger. Just play faster. and more shocking. So it feels like that. More of an explosion. That is starting. Okay, now we're going to be listening for sure. Okay, play from. Can you go? I don't know if you can remember all of the tempo indications here. All the little accelerandos and retardandos. Do you remember all of them?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's a lot of information he's giving us, and so fast, so quickly. And the words he used, actually. Okay, moderato, and then esitando. Hesitate, hold back your rod. I think esitando is even a more descriptive word, like hesitating. And then accelerando for one bar, and then vivo, which is really fast, and then rallentando for one bar, and then allegro, and then accelerando, and then vivo, and it's very unstable, right? And then moderato, and then accelerando, and then vivo, meno vivo. I think you should really exaggerate these. Okay, play it again from the moderato. And what's the character here?
Here, like at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like pretty casual, but it's like happy and casual.
Good, I like that. Doesn't sound that happy. Sounds a little bit concerned. Sounds very diligent. Like somebody's taking steps. Oh yeah, you're going for a walk, but you're like putting your feet in the right place. Good. You're happy. When we're happy and we're speaking out there, we're communicating out there, we have to get it out there, right? If I speak sort of like this, well, then it feels a little bit like a downer. So get your sound out there, send it out. This is better. First two notes are still. They were using about that much. The first note was better, and then the second note was very small. You wouldn't say this is set, would you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, this little bit impulsive or free, very free. Okay, be free. casual. It feels like you're telling a secret. Good. Try one thing as an exercise. Look at them the whole time, and just like you're speaking to them. Okay. Nicholas, you're the furthest now. Better? Yeah, it's just translating out more. But you still had the same range. It's not, what's not great is, I know, it feels horrible when somebody's out there and say, oh, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. And then little by little, we start playing louder and louder. That never feels good while you're playing. But this is a really great exercise. Okay. Go on just a little bit and exaggerate these. Okay, more esitando too. It doesn't say slow, it says hesitating. Good, that's good. What's the point of this?
The harmonic?
Yeah.
I think
Why a harmonic there?
to make it sound more flowy.
Flowy, okay, the sound quality. Okay. What's the pitch of that harmonic?
D.
Yeah, can you play it in that register?
Oh, it's here.
Right. Okay. So, can you fill that interval in? Do this once on the D string. That's how far you have to go with it. And I wouldn't say, we're not going to hide like this. There you go. Good. I think it should be more than the A. Da yum pa pa pa. It's more than it's or okay, good. And if you do that with Dictionary and Vivo, and then this, now you can see it's really just crazy. It's so wild. It's so unpredictable. And this is exactly what is amazing about Ravel's writing. But we have to not just do it, not just kind of go faster and play faster and then slow down a little bit more and play the harmonic, and really have to think about the implications of it. You know, what is the difference in the feeling? Okay, throughout. This is a theme and variations. Every variation should have a different feeling. The difference between this, how dreamy it is, to, and then it's so crazy. His writing is so crazy. Okay, so try to take a fresh look at it. Okay, great. Thank you, Hanami. Great. And poor Ian has been waiting. Oh, Hanami, here's your music. Don't forget that.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have Ian's song. Thank you for waiting. Of course, yeah. understand you haven't been playing this for very long. It's great. Great that you're playing it already. Okay. Do you want to play the whole piece? You don't have to if you want to stop at a certain point. Were you planning, hoping to perform the whole piece?
Hoping.
Oh, I didn't. You mean it sounds like you were hoping it will come out. But
Yeah.
it's up to you. If you don't have to play the whole thing. Do you have a specific place you'd like to stop?
I guess we could just see what comes out.
Okay. Okay. Just give me a look if you want me to stop. Okay. And the black mark. Yeah. Okay.
that be a good place to stop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Oh, beautiful. You're already doing a wonderful job with this. Another sort of theme and variations, right? And so you heard Nicholas's Paganini, and if you can now with the Paganini, each variation is wildly different. So it's maybe a little bit more it's just a little bit more apparent that each variation is just has nothing to do with one another. They might be progressing in terms of energy. I think in the case of that 24th Caprice, it comes in waves. It's actually 3 variations at a time that become more intense. Here it's a little bit more subtle. There's a lot of things. Some things are clearly more different. Other times it feels like, well, there's a lot of quarter notes or a lot of eighth notes, right? But if you can stretch the difference between those, okay, really stretch your imagination and your tonal range, your color range, your dynamics, I mean, it all goes together. If you want to use some, I wouldn't do very Ponticello sometimes, but quasi Ponticello, a little bit icier sound, sometimes a sound that is almost ghostly, not so tangible, and then sometimes parts that you haven't even gotten to, it's really like a huge granite mountain, right? So that kind of range in this, it's really such a dramatic work, and it is written also so beautifully for the violin. But let's talk just a little bit about sound production. We talked a little bit with the others, but I think it's just a very, very important part of playing the violin. With Hanami, what we were talking about, you were probably warming up, right? So what we talked about, what I feel is the hardest thing about playing the violin is trying to express these big things, these intense things, through this little box, right? And we can so easily force the sound, and when we do that, we're trying to create resonance, and when we push too hard, we're actually squashing the resonance. And so we have to imagine the sound is not something solid, we're not hitting a baseball with a baseball bat. Actually, even worse, where it's, because what happens is we keep, it would be like, at least with a baseball, we hit it and it goes, right? You want to hit it further, you take a bigger swing at it. What we're trying to do sometimes, we're trying to control it all the way, the flight of a ball. It would almost be like taking a gong and trying to create, or bell, and trying to create a huge resonance by hitting it, but then still touching it. And as if touching it harder is going to make, really make a difference. What we're actually doing is we're squashing that resonance. Now, so that's why it rings so freely when I get off the string. Now, the beauty of the bow and the difference between the bowed instruments and the plucked instruments is this goes away in a very natural way. So now we can manipulate the rest of the ring. But it's manipulating it, it's not creating it. Okay? And so it's something we've been working on a little bit with the others is the articulation. Okay? So when you want a certain sound, put it into the articulation. I don't mean also, articulation is kind of a dirty word for violinists a lot of times. It makes us just play like this. This could be articulation. Okay? You want a certain sound. The way you started, that's the articulation.
But then after that, just gently manipulate the sound. Can you start the opening phrase with that idea in mind? Did you think about it before?
I did.
After, yeah, so you tightened it more. You thought you were tightening it more, right? And that's always what happens. It's just more than you think. Play the same phrase again. We could go home now. So great. Now, let's initiate, okay, the ring. Let's think of the string almost like a bell, okay? We're going to strike it, except we're not hitting it. We're on the string, but we're striking it down, okay? And then, do, ya, the rest of that G is less into the string. Then we are, it's almost like a top that's spinning, okay? We initiate it, it's going a certain speed, and then if we try to turn it like this, it's just not going to, it's never going to really take off. What we want to do is keep it going, okay? Try that. And sorry, actually try just one note, and this first touch is spinning the top, and then the rest of it is encouraging it to keep going. Okay, let's take vibrato out of the equation first. And so don't hit the string, from the string. Okay, put the bow on the string, and you're going to articulate with a K, like you know how. And then let go, and just, this is the top right there, okay? We're touching the top with a bow, okay? It's spinning over here. And you're going to just keep it going at the same speed. That's right, good. No vibrato. And right at the frog. Start right at the frog. That's right. And go all the way through the tip. There you go. Okay. Can you play the same after the chord? That's better. Okay, play the phrase and try to, even if it sounds a little bit accented this time, it's okay. But I want you to, actually even in this slur, especially each new bow. It's kind of weird, right? It sounds loud, but you can see right now how much I'm releasing.
Yeah.
Great. Even deeper articulations, and then release just as you are. Keep going. Good. Try from here. you wanted more intense here, right? At the beginning of it, and then still releasing, okay? But have faith that if you are that intense at the beginning of the note, then even with that release, as long as your bow keeps moving, it's going to maintain that intensity, okay? Good. This is a general thing that you don't like to use from about there to there on your bow. So, and this is a very, very powerful, effective part of the bow. The most, actually. So you're missing, I really actually think this is like worth the rest of the bow. So you're missing half of the bow. You could have 200% actually of what you have. So, go all the way and start it there. Good, okay. I mean, now you're really starting to get some energy out there. And this is not just that now we can also manipulate the sound. Meaning you can make a diminuendo too, okay? You can make a crescendo, and then there are many different kinds of diminuendos and crescendos. Sometimes we might even crescendo and it gets lighter. Right? It's not, but that's a different kind of crescendo, okay? But always remembering that it's the top. And the moment we push it, then it's going to just fall over, right? We want to, again, encourage the sound. Let's do something in a lower register, about on the lower strings, that initiation has to be deeper. Imagine a bigger, heavier top, okay? And the encouraging has to also be a little bit deeper, but it's still the same idea. We can definitely squash it. We want to keep it going. Have you ever heard the idea of your sound spinning?
From you just now.
Was it? Really? Did I say spinning? Well, it's like the top. We want to imagine your sound continuing to spin out into the hall. Okay, it's not just a solid mass that stays right here. Great, keep going. Yeah, start playing the whole phrase. It was so satisfying. Fun with this, aren't you? Yeah? Yeah. It's real. It's so great to you're actually playing with this idea, and you are manipulating it, and it's so great. When you get to the softer colors, like right at the end, then and we don't want to initiate really as much. Then you can use your left hand to initiate. Okay. The moment there's almost like the minimum that our bow does is already quite a bit. And so if we have a very light bow, but then from maybe from this point on, the softer and softer articulations, that you use your left hand. and then it's just much more subtle. But this idea is great. You're really doing great. So just remember to tighten your bow, everybody, and really practice using this part. Okay. I would recommend for Ian, I mean, just as a way of giving all of you ideas for practicing, but if you have an issue like this, you don't like to use that part of the bow, okay, then just practice using that part of the bow. Okay, so play scales only. It's going to feel awful at first, and you just have to make yourself do it and then make it sound good, and you're going to be shocked how much better, how much more you can do, how much longer you can hold notes first, of course, but the depth and the power. Even we can play lightly down here, and that's an amazing sound when we play very light, but we let the bow fall into the string. That's when you can get a light but rich sound, okay, which you want sometimes. Right? Okay, Ian, thank you, bravo. And thank you to everybody for playing, for your great performances, and again to the parents. Thank all of you. Everybody thank your parents, okay? Okay, hope to see you at one of the concerts. And just to remind our audience at home that we have 3 more masterclasses each week, so you can tune in. It'll be David Schifrin, our artistic director emeritus, on clarinet, Tara Helen O'Connor on flute, and Jason Vio on guitar. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.